Good morning everyone, I am Erangi Waidyathilaka. My research topic is green vehicle routing optimization. My supervisors are Ms. Sabaragamuwa and Dr. Wickramarachchi. We are from the University of Kelaniya, Faculty of Science. This is the overview of my presentation, and moving forward to the background of the study. Carbon footprint can be defined as the amount of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere as a result of the activities of a particular individual, organization or community. And over the years, as of the world reports, global carbon dioxide emission has increased drastically due to industrial and other community activities. When analyzing the sector-wise breakdown in the carbon emission, we can identify road transportation as the second highest contributor, while electricity and heat stands as the first. When considering the road transportation, it comes under two categories: people transportation and load transportation for industrial purposes. When considering the Sri Lanka scenario, it has been predicted carbon dioxide has been done for 2030, where over 57 million tons are expected from the country itself. And when considering the breakdown sector-wise, it has been identified that transport sector is the highest contributor within the country. So this shows us the importance of going for green vehicle routing optimization for cargo transportation within the country. So my problems is how to optimize the delivery network to achieve maximum cost benefits while reducing the carbon emission amounts. Here I'm considering three research areas: carbon emission, and how vehicle routing can be used, and how optimization plays its role. So these are my research objectives. I have three primary research objectives: to study the economic sector-wise carbon emission rates in global and Sri Lankan context, and then to identify factors that affect the rate of carbon emission from road freight transportation, and then study how vehicle routing problem can be used in transportation network optimization. So under the third research objective, I have three sub-research objectives. First is to study current vehicle routing problem related solving approaches for cost minimization and carbon emission minimization, and then develop a mathematical model to achieve cost minimization and carbon emission minimization. And in the third sub-research objective, I am planning to test and validate the multi-objective vehicle routing problem for cost minimizing and carbon minimizing. So based on the objectives, these are my research questions. What are the current sector-wise carbon emission rates in global and Sri Lankan context? What are the factors that affect the rate of carbon emission from road freight transportation? And how can vehicle routing problem be used in transportation network optimization? Sub-research questions on the third. The main research question comes as: what are the available models of vehicle routing optimization for cost minimizing? What are the available models for vehicle routing optimization for carbon emission minimizing? And then what are the vehicle routing optimization models that allow maximum cost benefits and also environmental benefits for an organization? So this is how I carried out my literature review. I have carried out it in three folds. First one is carbon emission relevant, where I identified what is carbon footprint, factors that affect carbon emission, and then carbon emission measuring technologies. And then I carried out considering optimization methods, and then I carried out the literature review considering vehicle routing, the normal vehicle routing problem, and then the green vehicle routing problem. For carrying out this research, the literature has been taken from renowned journals and were filtered twice in the process to identify the most relevant and the recent publications. So, when considering the findings under carbon emission sector in the literature review, I have identified several definitions for carbon footprint. What carbon footprint is? One of them is carbon footprint is a measure of the exclusive total amount of carbon dioxide emissions that is directly and indirectly caused by an activity or is accumulated over the life stages of a product. This is given by Weidman and Wings in 2008, and Piesick and McNinnon has identified several factors: structural, commercial, operational, functional, and product related, and external factors that affect the amount of carbon emission from certain vehicles. And also another two researchers, Angolson and Schroeder, in 2002 has identified vehicle structure and maintenance related factors such as aerodynamics, wide base tires, tire inflation, and how these factors affect the carbon emissions. Vehicle McKinnon in 2007 has identified various factors can cause carbon dioxide emission data to be misleading. And also there have been identified two approaches for measuring carbon dioxide as of the information given by McKinnon and Piesick in 2010. They are energy-based approach and activity-based approach. In vehicle routing relevant, it has been identified that green vehicle routing problem is a newly emerged subpart of vehicle routing problem, where it emerged because of the need of considering environmental sustainability for modeling the vehicle networks. So, in green vehicle routing, there have been identified three categories under it. One is green VRP, and the other one is vehicle pollution routing problem, and the third one is the VRP in reverse logistics. And so the other factors that have been identified as shown in this presentation. And moving forward, when considering optimizations, we have identified several statements given by different researchers relevant to how optimizations can be used to solve these mathematical problems. This is the methodology of my research. I have carried out the literature review in three folds as previously explained, and then I carried out a preliminary industry visit to a major third-party logistic company in Sri Lanka to identify their current amount of data monitoring, and then I redeveloped an existing mathematical model to suit the needs, and it has been solved using a genetic algorithm, and validation and testing has been done using secondary data available in past literature. So moving on, the data collection that was done was based on problem instances from the VRP library. The VRP library that I have considered is Uchoa et al. 2014 VRP library. It includes 100 instances. This one is a very prominently used library used in many researchers relevant to this area. And this is the implementation part of the mathematical model. These are the assumptions of my model. I consider that the supply chain network consists of a number of fixed capacity distribution points which serve multiple customers with non-demand, and I have considered a fleet with only homogeneous vehicles with similar capacity, and the locations of the customers and the depots are known. Individual demand of a customer cannot exceed the capacity of a vehicle, and each vehicle starts and ends at the same depot, and each customer is visited by a vehicle exactly once. So these are my assumptions that were followed during the development of the mathematical model. These are the notations used in the model. Objective function, it has been used by E et al. In the first version of this mathematical model, and it has been identified to include the driver cost and the maintenance cost, and also fixed cost associated with vehicle use. And then the objective function 2 has also been used by E et al. In his model, and this has been updated as of the requirements of the current scenario. So in solving this problem, I have used a genetic algorithm. This shows the pseudocode that is used during the implementation of the genetic algorithm. So for the discussions and findings, the parameters of design of experiment for this GA has been considered as size of the population has been selected as 50. The tournament size as in two values. First one is 5 per 1 mutation rate, population size and number of generations. 10 per 1 mutation rate, population size and number of generations. And the size of the generation has been considered in two values, 100 and 1000. Mutation rate has been considered in 5 known values. All these values are taken as of the existing researchers, where these are the mostly practiced parameter values for genetic algorithms. The percentage reduction in cost is calculated such that the initial cost minus final cost divided by the initial cost, and is taken as a percentage in calculating this reduction in cost, percentage reduction in cost. So the values taken for variables in the algorithm, this has been taken in several ways. One, by considering the existing literature data. Such values are used for like fuel cost and depot opening, vehicle weight, and price of carbon dioxide, likewise. And some values has been taken as from the industry insights achieved during the industry visit to a Sri Lankan third-party logistic provider. Are tournament size as 5, size of the generation as 1000, and the mutation rates as 0.0025. The limitations that are associated with this research is the considered vehicle fleet is only a homogeneous fleet, and also we have neglected the impact of road gradient associated for this problem. So as future work, it is suggested to utilize the identified best parameter mix values for carrying out genetic algorithm relevant carrying out green vehicle routing problem relevant scenarios, and also the future work suggests the use of considering of heterogeneous vehicle fleets, time window considerations, and managing networks with stochastic demands for our future requirements. These are the references that were used. Thank you.